And as you all hear from the earlier presentations, I'm not going to repeat on the key enhancement on the what, but I would like to elaborate a bit further on the initial thinking in order to invite your feedback on the how to make this plan enhancement work. So the first enhancement to PEMNA in phase 3 is actually on the breadth of the network. And as we all heard, we're adding revenue COP in the network. And together with that, as the usual structure, we'll have the COP chair to be nominated and voted. We have the facilitator, we have the leadership team. So it's all new. And this time, we have 12 countries here, but for the revenue COP, we only have 9 of 12. We don't have Indonesia, Vietnam, and Timor-Leste for the revenue part this time. But that's fine, because for the plenary, we expect it to be even better represented. And together with this, we maintain the steering committee arrangement reinforced by these networks, which I will come to talk later, the other networks in our region and other region. And just to share with you from the bank, we also have, together with the revenue COP, we also have introduced recently what we call the GTP program, Global Tax Program, which in our region, the task managers are also Matthias and Panos. So that's why they will also serve as our key facilitators for PEMNA to have the very coherent linkage between PEMNA and our global initiative. Yeah, and you heard from Dr. He about the key pillars, and also Indrim mentioned that the peer learning activities remains at the core of the network, and the remaining ones are better designed in order to reinforce, to integrate better with the peer learning value proposition. So all the usual thing under peer learnings we will keep and enhance all the good parts of it. As you know very well, I'm not going to delve into that. But the network exchange with OECD, with PEMPAL, with CABRI, with IBF, and even with some other tax network like the AITAT that we discussed, will be strengthened, and how to do that I briefly mention later. And then the main enhancement of PEMNA phase 3 would be in component 2 with research and benchmarking activities. Together with the drop of the advisory service part, we are enhancing the benchmarking and policy synthesizing part. And to make it a very nicely integrated sequencing of a number of things that you have seen in the past into something that is more and better sequenced to inform the peer learning activities. As Dr. Har mentioned, we don't want all the knowledge that have been generated before and during these peer learning events to be lost, right? We want the knowledge to be well documented and well shared even after the event is done. So the sequencing will start with the benchmarking surveys on the priority topics that you will choose, then the policy briefs aligned to the event themes, and then the synthesis policy note combining both the survey and the policy briefs and the discussions at the events to come to our common knowledge products for PEMNA. And then from communications, MNME, we also have, we'll also maintain the good things that have done in the past, especially by the Secretariat in supporting you, but we'll also look at some enhancement to that as well. Now, the main enhancement, as I mentioned, is this integrated sequencing of the work. So let's make it more concrete, and let's take one example. First of all, we'd like to do an advanced medium-term planning of topics. So for 2026, we know by now the topic for the plenary conference in Seoul, which will be digital transformation in public financial management. And we can go down into the, for example, just too easy. We can go into the detailed topics by the COP, aligning to that overarching topic of the plenary. Again, for example, in budget, we can talk about budget prep system and digital transformation to support budget negotiations and decision making. In Treasury, we can talk about how AI would help to reduce the transaction costs, enhancing risk management, and operational efficiency. In revenue, we can talk about data analytics and AI to enhance tax compliance and policy design and administration efficiency. Things like that. So as we define on a medium-term basis, the cross-cutting thematic topic for the year, we will align the subtopic of the COP meetings towards that thematic highlight for the year. And then, based on that, the benchmarking survey will be designed and organized in advance to the COP and the plenary meeting. So the survey will serve as both diagnostic, but also like a learning tools for us to build on what's, I'm sure you participate in a gazillion different surveys, including surveys by OECD, surveys by different things, but sometimes they are not really tailored to PEMNA's needs. So we'll design the survey for PEMNA in a sense that is aligned with your needs and the topics better. So the survey will be conducted around the member countries, and then building on the survey, like a consultant, a facilitator, will also prepare the policy brief that aligns with the survey, summarizing the key findings of the survey, and that policy brief will be presented at the COP and the plenary meetings, and for you to serve as the basis for your discussions. And after that, for each of the COP, you will prepare the synthesis policy note for that topic by your COP. And in the end, for that year, as PEMNA as a whole will add that 3 policy synthesis notes and add on top an executive summary on the cross-cutting themes of PEMNA for that year. So in that sense, all the materials that you will be presenting through different slides, through different talks, will be integrated, will be synthesized in a regional knowledge products. Because we discussed earlier the needs to share beyond, among ourselves, but also beyond ourselves and to the other region. So in this way, and again, we are very open to your feedback because this is the first meeting, this is the initial thinking. During the country, the discussions follow. Please do share if you think that's feasible or whether there are ways to do this better. And of course, when we do that, we make reference to what other networks have been doing. And here, I'm not going to delve into the details, just a reference. In each of your COP, there are actually good benchmarking tools, good diagnostic tools and stuff for us to build on. So we are not starting from scratch. Yeah. So you see that we are moving away, using some of the very fundamental basic tools like PIFA, you know it. It is a good snapshot, but it doesn't tell you really on the key challenge in your country. We are moving away from just that to something that is more tailor-made, more customized for our PEMNA network. Also building on all the global tools that are available, whether by the OECD, by the World Bank, or by the IMF. And I also wanted to share with you that from the World Bank side, we are also reorganizing our global teams around some themes. For example, globally, we have a themes on digital transformation in PFM, who will be presenting at the plenary conference. Or we have another global themes on fiscal risk management. We have another global themes on financial reporting for service delivery, things like that. So we will align more with the global initiative. We align more with peer through the other networks, and then to make our networks as a whole more effective on the knowledge product. And let me conclude here with this kind of very initial thinking that's from the World Bank team for the potential topics. Again, we are doing an MTAP for the topic, right? So we are doing medium-term planning 2026, we decided, but the subtopics we need to discuss tomorrow at the leadership team meeting on the subtopics for the COP at the plenary conference. Because based on that, we need to design the benchmarking surveys. We need to prepare the policy briefs, as I discussed earlier. And then 2027, tentatively we put it here. Again, you can discuss in your leadership team tomorrow. 2028, again, very initial, subject to change. But hopefully at the plenary next year, we can already design the topics for 2027 And then on a rolling basis, we can decide for 2028. And being more proactive, more advanced planning like this, it helps all of us to better prepare, but also to enhance the depth of the network. And last but not least, I forgot to mention that for the networking partners, we have received very strong requests from several other networks to invite over representatives from PEMNAs to join the other networks events. There will be an incentive for the COP, the active members of the COPs, especially the chairs and others, to represent PEMNA when you join, for example, PEMPAL, when they have an event in, let's say, Poland or Kazakhstan on the relevant topics, that you will be presenting PEMNA in joining PEMPAL and vice versa. So this is something that in this round of the third phase, we would love to do it more seriously. We have some exchange in the past, but it's not like at that level. So hopefully that we strengthen our network at its core, and we strengthen our networking to other networks as we go forward. Thank you very much. The main contact, very similar to Dr. Hart. The main focal point would still be the secretariat, but you know that on the World Bank side, we stand ready to provide you all kinds of support from the facilitator, from the overall coordinators. Thank you so much.